Everyone, welcome back. Believe it or not, it is day 10 already. We are on week 2. This week we are looking at SMART goals, and today we are looking at our second pillar of lifestyle medicine, which is physical activity. So just like yesterday, I'm going to start by giving you some information about physical activity. We're going to take a look at some papers, and then we will look at a couple examples of SMART goals that you can maybe think about utilizing or adopting to your life. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to take a look at two different papers, and I just have copy pasted some imaging from these papers, but they're both listed under each respective image. And I know it's a little bit hard to see, but we're going to start by looking at the image to the left. And the way that I like to take a look at graphs is I look at the axes first. So we're going to look at the horizontal axis. And that is labeled follow-up in years. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 years listed out on that horizontal or x-axis. The y-axis is the vertical axis, and it's labeled as survival probability. It's labeled 0.97, 0.98, 0.99, and 1.0. And then within the graph, we have three different lines, and one's kind of a dotted line, one's a dashed line, and one is a solid line. And each of those means high, moderate, and low CRF, and that stands for cardiorespiratory fitness. And so cardiorespiratory fitness is basically something that we can influence by doing physical activity. So this graph is showing us as we start at follow-up 0 years, all three lines are on the same mark at the 1 mark, or the survival probability of 100%. And so this is looking at lung cancer cases. So these are patient populations who all have lung cancer, but they're separated into the three different groups based on their cardiorespiratory fitness. And you can see that dashed line falls off pretty quickly by the time we get to follow-up 25 and 30 years. So it's showing that low cardiorespiratory fitness results in significantly more mortality from lung cancer versus the solid line is high cardiorespiratory fitness. So if you have really good cardiorespiratory fitness, because you were an athlete or because you maintained good physical activity, you actually have a significantly increased survival probability if faced with the diagnosis of lung cancer. So this is just one example on the left. On the right, we're basically looking at the same thing, but this is in breast cancer cases. So the kind of light colored or the gray line is high cardiorespiratory fitness. The kind of in-between line or the medium colored line is the moderate cardiorespiratory fitness, and the dark black thick line is low cardiorespiratory fitness. And we can see our axes are pretty similar. Our vertical axis is survival rate, and our horizontal axis is follow-up in years. So just as increased cardiorespiratory fitness can be protective in lung cancer, it can also be protective in breast cancer. So kind of across the board, having higher cardiorespiratory fitness, even if faced with a significant illness such as lung cancer or breast cancer, it can really help with the survivability rates. So we're going to take a look now at some SMART goals that we've created for physical activity. So we'll look at example number 1 on the left, specific. Perform moderate intensity aerobic activity like brisk walking. Okay, so moderate intensity we learned about in week 1. Physical activity can be broken down into moderate as well as vigorous intensity. So moderate intensity includes stuff like brisk walking. It also includes light cycling, housework and chores, gardening, stuff that basically brings your heart rate up but doesn't really cause a super significant sweat. Measurable. We're going to track our progress using a fitness app. There's a million different fitness apps. If you have an iPhone, your phone comes automatically downloaded with an app. And our goal is to log 150 minutes per week. Achievable. We're going to schedule this in 30-minute sessions, 5 days a week. So we're going to go on 5 different 30-minute walks throughout the week. Relevant. This also is going to help us improve our cardiovascular fitness. And time-bound. We're going to try and sustain this habit for 3 weeks. So 3 weeks of 5 days per week, 30-minute brisk walking sessions. I think this is something we can give a try. Sometimes setting aside 30 minutes 5 times a week is challenging to fit into our daily schedule. So let's take a look at physical activity example number 2. Specific, walk at least 7,500 steps daily. So actually pretty huge news. There was an article that came out pretty recently that stated that 75,000 steps is actually a really good step goal to have. I know if you're a Fitbit user or an Apple Health user, they tend to publish the 10,000 steps daily kind of goal or mark. But it's actually been proven that 7,500 steps is an adequate amount to achieve daily. So that's really, really nice because sometimes that 10,000 is a little bit hard to get. Our goal or our measurable aspect, we're going to use a pedometer or a smartphone app. So if you carry your phone around with you in your pocket, or if you have a smartwatch, it's actually automatically collecting that data for you already. Achievable. We're going to break up walks into smaller sessions throughout the day. So say I get a 30-minute lunch break, and I'll spend the first 20 minutes eating my lunch, and then I'll spend the second 10 minutes maybe walking around the office, taking a step outside, going for a quick walk around the block, something along those lines. And relevant. This is going to improve our metabolic health and overall fitness. So 7,500 steps daily has been proven to help with blood pressure, glucose control, as well as metabolic health. And then time-bound. We'll give this a try for about 6 weeks. So again, a couple more examples of SMART goals, this time related to physical activity. And tomorrow we'll take a look at SMART goals for stress management, and we'll also take a look at an article right before we dive into those goals. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your day, and I hope this presentation gave you some inspiration for physical activity. Have a great rest of your day.